You just had your baby, or you are nearing the end of maternity leave. Whether you are returning to work, staying home with your baby longer, or everything in between, we are diving deep into financial tips for new mothers. Buckle up, it's a good one. Thanks for joining us. This is Newbies.
He's gorgeous.
It's a girl.
Surprise! The whole family's here.
So when are you having the next one?
It's just poop.
Ready for another?
Wow, you look really tired.
Ready to go back to work?
Yellow poop? Seriously?
Did you sterilize this?
Sex? Now? You've got to be joking.
You should sleep when the baby sleeps.
She doesn't look anything like you.
I thought you already had your baby.
I did.
Babies don't come with instructions, so there's Newbies, helping new moms and new babies through the first year.
Welcome to Newbies. My name is Kaile Garcia, and I'll be your host today. If you haven't already, be sure to visit our website at newmommymedia.com and subscribe to our weekly newsletter, which keeps you updated on all the episodes we release each week. Another great way to stay updated is to hit that subscribe button in your podcast app. And if you're looking for a way to get even more involved with our show, then check out our online community. It's on Patreon. That's where we chat more about the topics discussed here on our show, and it's also an easy way to learn about our recordings so you can join us live. Our expert today is Aly Wood. She is a former woman in tech, now a stay-at-home mom, but future CFP. We love that. She is also a military spouse, like so many of our listeners. So first question, please tell us about your family and where you are located and the branch your husband serves.
Sure. You know a bit about me. It's me, my husband, and our son. I just had our son in January of this year. So very new mommy in the throes and woes and everything else of postpartum. It's amazing. It's wild. It's crazy. Do you see? Yeah. So he just dropped his top, so it's crazy. So my husband is an Air Force pilot. He flies the C-5, which is a plane that looks like it should not be in the sky. And we are Texas residents, but we are currently located in Delaware, but we'll hopefully be returning to Texas very soon. So that's a little bit about us.
Oh, fun. Yay. Well, I'm excited to dive into this topic of financial literacy. I think it's so important amongst military communities, amongst new moms in general. I think
Agreed.
We should all be sharing this info. Let's not gatekeep, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Open book.
Yay. Awesome. We'll jump into it. But first, let's take a quick break. Today, we're discussing financial tips for new mothers. So first, I want to know more about you, right? You said that you have an under 1-year-old. So do I. Yay. It's crazy. First, becoming a mom, pregnancy, birth. Yeah. I want to hear it all.
Okay. So I will say it was definitely in our plan. It was within our planning window, but it was an absolute surprise. One day I just did not fit my jeans. And I was like, this is so strange. I've been wearing the same size jeans for 7-8 years now. What is going on? And I just thought, all right, girl, you need to ease up on the barbecue and I'm in love with this ice cream shop nearby. And I was going every night and I was like, all right, I'm having fun. We're in a new place. I'm trying all these foods. No, that is not what it was. Actually one of our dogs. He came up to me and he just stared into my soul one morning as I was getting ready. And I was like, I need to go take a test. I need to go to Walmart right now. And I need to go buy pregnancy tests. I was like, something is very odd. And what do you know? I took 4 of them. I don't think that's necessary, but I did. And turns out we were expecting. Yeah, it was just, we were both so elated. And I feel like I had a first trimester that was very like, oh man, I could sleep 16 hours easy. I hated the smell of my own home and all those typical, I feel like first trimester things. The first trimester was rough. But I do think the second trimester, it was gorgeous. It was beautiful. I had so much energy. I wanted to eat again. We did a ton of travel. We traveled every month during that time period because I was feeling really good. And then my third trimester, I had a plan in mind for what I wanted his birth to be like and his entrance into the world. And he was ready to come out. My body did not want to cooperate. He was comfortable being breech, and it changed things because around that time I started having some issues with blood pressure that was outside of my normal range. It wasn't necessarily dangerous, but it was like dangerous for me. So third trimester was a little bit complicated, but I got to pick my surgeon. I had a scheduled C-section. It was amazing. My OR team was just so killer. They were just gosh, they were the greatest people. So if I had to repeat that whole thing again, I absolutely would. It was amazing. And they were so wonderful. And yeah, from just moments after he came out, we've been inseparable.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, it was amazing.
You know, it's interesting. I had another recording before ours, and I spoke to another mama who had a breech baby and ended up with an
Yes.
emergency C-section. And I've
Yes.
that's because you hear about it, it happens,
Yeah.
but you always are told that it's rare, but apparently
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah. No. And I will say I was scheduled. They had told me a few weeks prior, hey, with the blood pressure and the fact
Mhm.
I do everything. I was doing all my yoga poses. I was doing
The
my
spinning
ball. I was
babies. Yeah.
my chiropractor spinning babies. Because I was that girl who was like, I want him to turn around.
Yeah.
But I was lucky enough to have a scheduled. So it is a bit different. There's a lot of thought that goes into it. Emergency. Like I know friends and family who have had those, and it can be a little bit more chaotic for them. I am grateful for that. But yeah, you think it's rare, and then you start talking to people and they're like,
Yeah.
I had one. I'm like, oh, okay. That's different. Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah. Anyway, so getting to know you more, when did you feel, and this for our listeners, we will talk about finances, I promise. But when did you feel that you wanted to be a stay-at-home mom? And I'll go first. I worked in news, like local news for like 8 years. And it was daunting hours. It was gone. Literally, it was like 50-hour weeks. I always had 1 to 3 hours of overtime every single day. And so I did not want to do that after I had a baby. And I took my 6 months of maternity leave, and then I just did not return. And it was fine. Everything was fine. But I knew during maternity leave. So if you would have asked me when I had my first in my belly still, I would have been like, nope, I'm returning to work. I need the money. We were a dual income family. My husband's military. I worked, and it was lovely. We had a lovely life. And then I had my daughter, and I was like, I can't. But my best friend was the opposite of me. She had her son 3 months after me and chose to go back to work early, so she got the 8 weeks off, and she chose to go back at like 6 weeks because she just wanted to. And so every woman's different. But for you, when did you want to be a stay-at-home mom? Was it during pregnancy? Was it after baby was born? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. And I will say this, all moms' journeys and desires of what they want to do, totally valid.
Yes.
I was definitely career girly, very career forward. I had busted my rear in my 20s to work my way up in tech. And I knew when I was pregnant, it was very early on. It was very early on. I actually reached out to a girlfriend of mine. We had met on socials somehow over the years. And I reached out to her and I said, hey, she's a lawyer. And I said, how did you do it? Did you have these feelings? Did you have these feelings that you were just done with your career? And she told me, she was like, absolutely. She's like, and you may decide as time goes on that you want something flexible. That's what she wanted. She wanted something flexible for the future. Yeah. And yeah, that was just where I was. I just knew. I knew that eventually I was going to leave my job. And then I got lucky in the sense that my company that I worked for was being bought. And as soon as they told us, I immediately knew. I said, okay, great. We're all getting laid off. This is the best case scenario for me. And that's what happened. So it actually, I ended up not even having to like overcome the choice. It was just made for me. And I think it was supposed to be that way.
That's amazing. That is awesome that it worked out, because I could imagine for so many people that would be devastating.
Absolutely. Right. And then I was pumped. I was like, absolutely. No, I don't have to make the hard choice.
That's wild. Okay. So switching gears, how is being a military spouse, right?
Yeah.
Changed your perception? Talk to me a little bit behind you wanting to be a stay-at-home mom, but knowing the military ebbs and flows, right? Sometimes the government shuts down and we are unsure about our payments, which is so stressful. Yeah. But anyway, talk a little bit about your planning to be like, okay, we're going to be a one-income family for a little bit. Yeah. How was it going through those conversations with your husband?
Yeah. So I will say I have always been the breadwinner. Our family lost anywhere from 200 to 250,000 by me being laid off. That is not a small sum of money. Mm-hmm. And regardless, if you're a 2-income family and you're going to one income, regardless of what that other income was, it makes a difference. Yeah. And of course, then going through like a shutdown just before I was laid off, I was like, oh my gosh, no, this can't happen. So I've always been a planner, a saver. I had a very healthy emergency fund. We had good investments, good retirements that we were like, okay, absolutely worst case scenario. How do you pull from your retirement? You would never want to do that. And we talked to our CPA about this as well. Because I, being someone who's into finance, I do bounce things off of our CPA because he is into the planning space as well. And yeah, I knew that, okay, we just have to sit down. We have to do the numbers. We got all of our finances in Monarch Money. That was honestly our start. We downloaded Monarch Money. We put everything in there so that we could see exactly how are we spending money? What do we have to do? And it's a little daunting. It's a little daunting to go down to one income, but my husband and I have always discussed finances even way back when we were dating. So it was definitely a bit easier than it could be for some because that was the norm for us. However, I definitely think there were a lot of things that I had to learn to be okay with as a stay-at-home mom, not feeling guilty for spending money just because it wasn't quote unquote mine all of a sudden, which my husband would never say something like that. But these strange things started to pop in my head. Oh, should I do this? Because I'm not really bringing anything in right now. Things like that. There was like a very strange guilt from myself or maybe from external. I don't know. But that definitely happened to me. So that was interesting for sure.
I can so relate with that. I'll speak a little bit on my part when I chose not to go back, but then I got blessed with this gig. So, which our listeners have been listening to me for a while. But so I chose to do part-time, right? It's no longer full-time, part-time freelance. No, all of that was, all of the job security is gone.
Yeah.
And like you said, wanting those little extra things that I used to grab for myself all the time. And it's not even just like the Starbucks, but it's like, I already have 5 lip glosses. Do I need a 6th one? I would have said yes if I was working full-time, you know?
Yes.
That I have those thoughts in the back of my mind. Really? Do I need that? And so I can so relate definitely when you do go down and you do look at your finances. And a big one for me, especially with, I've been not been working full time for about 3 years now. My first daughter was born. Now it kind of changes over to, okay, so what are we getting our daughter? It's me, even though he's bringing in everything. I love that.
Yes.
It's like a whole mind shift. And I love that I have very open conversations with my husband too about finances and stuff. Anyway, before we get any further down the road, let's take a quick break and then we will chat about more tips coming up. Welcome back. We are continuing our conversation with Aly. So I was talking about how I changed my mindset from what are we getting, even though it's not me, it's him. It's fine. We're a family. But let's chat about finances and why babies are so darn pricey. And I love that your baby is under 1 because you've been through it, the newborn stage, right? Is your baby crawling yet? Maybe, but then they start walking. You know what I mean? So it's all these little things that I remember when I have an early walker for my second. She's 10 months old and she's walking already. It's crazy. But when she was crawling around 6 to 7 months, I started pulling out the pants, right? Because we have hardwood floors. And so I don't want her in shorts or in her onesie. I need some pants. Babies are so pricey. So what are your thoughts about finances, chatting with your husband? And maybe some tips for new moms who want to do it all, right? Want to get the new wardrobes all the time because babies are constantly growing, or wanting to get the new walking toys. Or what are some tips you have for finances and babies and priciness?
Absolutely. This was so top of mind for us. So I will say, when we knew that we were going to be going down to 1 income, and even if there's no income changes, I highly suggest your baby needs to be built into the monthly, quarterly, annual budget. That's something that we did. I looked at the things that we knew we were going to need. I narrowed down. I talked to tons of friends, got all of their registry lists. And then I kind of took their what was your absolute must-haves? What were the things that you never used? What were the things that you didn't use? And that's how I compiled my first registry. And we didn't have to emergency order anything. It was very accurate. I was very proud of myself for especially being a first-time mom. So that was where we started, was being very specific about what we purchased. Also, y'all, there is no shit. Grow with me things. Yes, the price tag may look a little bit scary up front, but it is absolutely worth it. It's a grow with me item. It is meant to stay with you and your family for a couple years. It's meant to be a transitional item. There's no reason, we have his activity center. That's going to go all the way up through his toddler years because it turns into a play table, a table where he can color and have his toys. Same with we have, is it a Stokey chair that was from infant to now he's sitting. and then it will turn into a toddler seat, and then it turns into an actual chair. There's just all of these things that you can do and think about, like plan for these items and start saving. Like maybe you can't afford it right now, but if you put it into the budget and you say, okay, we're going to save $25 every month for this item, because they grow fast and it's so hard. And also, hey, you know what? As long as it's not something that needs to be like verifiably safe, like sometimes buying car seats for others can be tricky, there is nothing wrong with buying secondhand items. Absolutely not. If that is what your budget allows, the item is safe and usable for your child, absolutely do that. Sales as well. Buy on sale. If your kid's running through onesies like water, Carter's at least 6 times a year has a sale. You can buy a 20 pack of onesies. It just depends on where you are, but trying to speak to the average person, like that's the reality. Sales, trying to save and budget for things, and secondhand. Do what you have to do. As long as your kid is cared for, that's what matters.
Absolutely. And you definitely nailed it with the grow with me, because we have a few tables and like bouncers or more like walkers or stuff like that. And my first child loved it. And my kids are 2.5 years apart. So my first child loved it. And then when I had my second, when my oldest was 2.5, we start bringing out all of the toys again, and the kids really enjoy it too. So these toys are timeless. They're even the strollers. We bought a very nice car seat for the first, but our second was able to enjoy because we had such a small age gap.
Absolutely.
So really, and the newborn car seat only lasts for so long before your kid gets too tall or too heavy or whatever it may be. And they last for a few years. I think it's like mine, I believe, was like 5 or 6 years before it
expires.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And yes, not only buying things that you can afford or buying things secondhand or doing the grow with me, but you can also keep them. And then if you have other kids, that's like a huge investment into your family.
Absolutely.
Which I think are so nice. So I guess follow-up question really is, why is it so important to stay on budget? And I feel like this is such an open-ended question, but why is it important to stay on budget for a family and to have financial literacy? I feel like that is really important because yes, buying the nice car seat, buying the nice bassinet, right? My kid never used a bassinet, I'll say that.
Ever.
And I'm even looking at like selling my crib because she's never used a crib.
He's never used it either. Yep,
yeah,
it's a very parking spot.
Exactly. Yeah. So why is it so important to stay on budget for a family and to have the financial literacy? Because yes, you can stay on budget, but if you're not working towards a goal, right? Then I feel like, what do you think?
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's a great question. So I do think it's super important that folks understand first, a budget is not handcuffs. A budget is not shackles. It is, my husband always jokes, he now says my phrase, I call it favors for future you. So your budget is a favor for future you. What do you all want as a family? Is there a bigger house in the plans? Is there a house in a different location? Maybe not necessarily bigger, but somewhere that you need to plan for. A big trip you guys want to do, vacation, putting your kids in a certain type of school or preschool or learning center, whatever the case may be, whatever it is that your family goals are you paying off debt? Are you trying to get a second car? So many military families are 1-car families. And I hear that all the time. It's one of those things of, if you constantly stray from that, you are just giving future you, which has so much more time to live than current you're just causing him or her problems. And it's hard to think about because you're in the now and you might want this thing right now. I don't believe in deprivation. I do believe that little treats here and there and occasional splurges are great. But if you're constantly impulse buying, if you're constantly blowing through your entertainment budget or your fun budget, whatever, all that is delaying what could be for the future you, which has a longer amount of time to be here and will have less time to do financial things like saving and investing and retirement planning. Yeah, I really just think it is very important for future you. Do a little bit now to make your life so much better in the future, especially as your kids are getting bigger. You're going to want to do more. There's going to be more things that they're going to want to do. I feel like there's a trade-off. Yeah, infants and babies are expensive, but so is sports and activities.
Absolutely. And it's so funny. My daughter's 3 and she's been in swim lessons, which were
Oh,
dollars a
yes.
month. Yeah. Which was $30 a class. She does gymnastics,
Yes.
which is $60 a month. And she's only 3. I can imagine if we go the route of competitive dance or
Yes.
if she wants to switch and do sports, right? I think where I live in South Carolina, most sports start at 4 and so I'll enroll her in soccer or basketball. But I don't even know what that costs. So you're so right. Babies are definitely one expense, but then toddlers and young kids, it definitely adds up. Yay. Okay, we'll take one of our last breaks and we hop back on our show. I want to ask you more about the starting point of where couples could start tonight. But first, let's take a quick break. Welcome back. Okay, for our last little section, I teased before the break, I want to talk a little bit about where couples can start. So if they're listening to this episode, right, and you want to talk to your husband when he gets home, where would be your best bet to start? What would be your advice for starting the conversation to make sure that moms, new moms, wives know what's coming in and what's going out?
Absolutely. I think it's just listen, okay, so everyone is raised differently in terms of their views on money. So I think understanding that is a really important starting place. Some people can be very sensitive when talking about finances. And the reality is that there are couples out there who have never had a true financial discussion. So I would just approach it in the sense of you guys want to be getting on the same page about your goals, about the things that you want in life, about the debts you need to pay off, about what you want to do for your kids, for yourselves. It's not just about the kids having hobbies. It's about you guys having hobbies too. This is your first time living too. So I think it's really important to just approach it from you guys are a team. Let's get on the same page about what we're doing and when we're doing it and how we do it, and whether that's you all find a budgeting app. Again, I'm not paid by Monarch or anything. We just love Monarch Money. We've tried a bajillion, but there are so many out there. There are free ones, there are paid ones. Start there. Start with you all both getting a good look at your finances and understanding the goals that each of you have as individuals and together. Both are important. Both are equally as important.
So helpful, especially for the moms like I was. I could totally imagine I would have loved to listen to this episode when I was in between what I was going to do. Am I going to go back to work? Am I not going to go back to work? What does our budget look like? Let's track our budget for a few months, see where we can cut or where we can splurge, right? Like we can get our daughter, what's the next holiday coming up? I don't know, July, August, September.
Halloween, I know, right? Where are we? Halloween.
Yeah. Halloween. For our listeners, we're recording in July. Yeah, and get my first Halloween onesie and my first Thanksgiving onesie, which should be coming up.
Yeah.
So I think that's so important. Okay, so how can anyone keep in contact with you? Shout out your socials.
Sure. So I am only on Instagram. I tried to keep up with TikTok, but hello, new mom. I'm just on Instagram right now, and it's at Hey Aly Marie. So at HEYALYMARIE on Instagram.
Yay. And then last, I always like leaving our listeners on an uplifting note. This was a very uplifting episode, but what is some advice you have for new moms who might be in the trenches right now? Let's say, I'll give you a scenario. What would you tell this mom? She did leave her job, right? Or maybe they let go of her. I've talked to some moms that were let go when they were pregnant and it was fine, but it worked out. But what would you say to the new moms who are in between in the trenches of being a stay-at-home mom or feeling like they don't know what's coming in, coming out in their household finances?
I would say, I see you. It's okay. This is all very new for you. You are in the trenches. You are undergoing major identity shifts, whether you had a career before becoming a mom or not. Either way, you're undergoing a lot right now. So the one thing you can do is baby steps. Baby steps. That's it. One thing at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself with needing to know it all, guilt, all of that. You're going to get there. It's going to get better. Your baby's going to sleep more. Your baby's going to become more independent. Things start to change. And then at those times, you can get more involved in what's next for you. It's not this way forever. That's the reality.
Oh, so helpful. And I feel like that's true in parenting in general. Nothing lasts forever. There will be an end time soon. And that's just so positive. Yay. Aly, thank you so much for joining me. This has been one of my favorite episodes, honestly, since the new season. This is so fun. I love talking about finances. I think it's so important. I think these are important mom tips that aren't talked about enough. We talk about breastfeeding, we talk about exercise, we talk about mental health, which are all very important, but also finances. Yes.
Agreed. Thank you for having me. This has been wonderful.
Yay. Awesome. Be sure to check out newmommymedia.com where we have all of our podcast episodes plus videos and more. That wraps up our show for today. Thanks for listening. If you love newbies as much as we do, please consider checking out the amazing businesses that sponsor our show week after week. And we'd also love for you to tell another new mama about this resource, which of course is absolutely free. And if you want to check out some of our other podcasts we produce, such as Preggy Pals, Parent Savers, The Boob Group, and Twin Talks, then visit our website at newmommymedia.com. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram for more information, giveaways, and more. Our handle is at newmommymedia. Thanks for listening to Newbies.
This has been a New Mommy Media production. The information and material contained in this episode are presented for educational purposes only. Statements and opinions expressed in this episode are not necessarily those of New Mommy Media and should not be considered facts. While such information and materials are believed to be accurate, it is not intended to replace or substitute for professional medical advice or care, and should not be used for diagnosing or treating healthcare problem or disease or prescribing any medication. If you have questions or concerns regarding your physical or mental health or the health of your baby, please seek assistance from a qualified healthcare provider.
Hey mamas, don't forget to check out Mighty Moms. It's our online community built for new moms just like you. Not only can you connect with other moms, but you can also join us backstage for special mom-only online events. And you'll also be notified when we're recording so you can join us as a special guest. Visit our website, newmommymedia.com, and click on the Mighty Moms banner. It's free. That's newmommymedia.com. See you there.